The issues capability is we took a workflow that was typically siloed outside of our solution and then organically brought it into Opus 2, which really allows case teams to use the information that they already have, the documents, the transcripts, etc., and just easily manage and track everything. And hopefully I did a good job of kind of showing you that here today.
Welcome to How It Works Deep Dive, where we take a deeper dive into a specific feature of a product previously demonstrated on How It Works. This is Bob Ambrogi, and in a previous episode of How It Works, we got a demo of Opus 2 and its features for helping law firms manage the critical information and workflows surrounding their cases and matters. Today, we're going to look more closely at the company's issues solution that enables litigation teams to easily manage and track legal and factual issues in one central place. Here to show us it and tell us all about it is Chris Finley, a Senior Solution Consultant at Opus 2. Chris, welcome back to How It Works.
Thank you for having me, Bob, man. Happy to show you guys everything issues related here with Opus 2.
Awesome. So again, before we launch into you showing us this, why don't you give us a little bit of an overview of what it is we're going to be seeing here?
Yeah, last time we spoke, we had an overview of the entire kind of solution, some of the key components here. What we're going to look at today is really something that came organically by need of a few of our clients that we had, where they've been doing order of proof workflows in a silo, maybe with Word documents and tables. And after listening to them, we thought it would be a good candidate to develop something and bring that into our solution. So that's what we're going to look at today, just going back to the whole idea around if you can log into just a project within Opus 2 and have everything that you need for the trial or the prep when it comes to the trial, that's much easier to do than having to jump around into 3 or 4 different products or solutions.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. Why don't you go ahead and share your screen and we'll launch into it.
We've navigated directly into our issues worksheet. And as we just talked about, it's really meant to mimic that order of proof, statement of claim workflow that firms are used to taking on, which traditionally have happened in Word documents and tables and things of that nature. So the first thing that we want to do is provide a place where you can identify your legal issues or factual issues, and you normally either have to prove them or they have to be disproven in a particular case. So the first place we'll start is, how does this come to be? Like, how can I actually build out the issues in my case? We do find that most lawyers, they know their cases, so they know their issues, right? And those issues may exist somewhere. And when they come into Opus 2, they can take that information and import it in. Let's say it lives in a spreadsheet or it lives in a table. That's one way you can build this out without having to go in one by one, which is a good ad hoc way to do things as things surface and as things come up within a case where you want to add in different issues. In that previous episode, I know we talked about AI and how you can leverage AI across the platform. You can do that as well. Maybe you come in and you ask the Matter Assist to find you relevant documents around a particular issue. So in this case, I have a theme of lost profits that I wanted to help me locate. So I go in, I type that prompt, it feeds me back the information. And just like we did before in that prior episode, I can take the sources that it finds and put those back into the actual issues worksheet, which is a great workflow. And it just shows you how the two pieces of functionality, regardless of your persona, are stitched together very nicely. So this is going through, it's finding that information that I just talked about. And if I wait a second or two, it'll go ahead and I will show you how it can attach the findings to the table. There we go. So similar before, I have my findings now. I can take those findings, I can go ahead, I can add those directly to a worksheet. And in this case, we're focusing on issues. But if anybody has interest in all the others, all of that is there as well. I go ahead, I select the issues. And in this case, I want to put it in the same record and I want to update something that already exists. Because I know that loss for profits was something that I already identified. Now I'm just using it to supplement out the content. So if I come in, this brings up my table. I know it's that second issue that I want to go ahead and add to, and I press save and I click apply. And now that record has been updated with my findings. So by using the AI and using the focus view that I have at my disposal here, I was able to update this and add in additional sources that are now at my fingertips for my entire case team. Yeah, I know that was just a little detailed on how do I bring stuff in? How do I start to build it out? Hopefully that makes sense, but I'm happy to answer any questions about that before we get into our next section that I'd like to cover.
No, it makes sense, and it's actually very cool. I haven't ever quite seen something like that before. So,
okay. All right. That's cool. Yeah. And with that, I think this kind of goes into our next category, our next topic here is connecting the issues with your overall story. So think about your case facts, your witnesses, and really anything else in your matter. So you'll see here on the issues, I stopped here at sources, but you normally don't stop there. You really want to know where this issue also shows up in my chronology, or what fact chronologies or fact entries also relate to this particular issue. So this, I know we discussed it on the earlier session, but across the top here, all of these components talk to each other. These aren't just standalone spreadsheets. It's a relational database, but you're able to see how everything is connected. So people, places, characters, all the way to like the granular highlighted text or the designated testimony of a transcript. Or maybe there's a particular note and you want to be able to then interrogate that note or go to that particular section of the document. The fact that everything is here within the workspace and that it's connected just goes a long way. And we find it does help a lot of our case team members be super effective with their time and their management here within the solution. So one or two examples there on how it's connected. And it doesn't just have to happen from the table itself. You could have a document open, you could have a transcript open, and you can supplement those different areas out. So there's a variety of different ways to really continue to build out your issues and supplement them with the evidence that is relevant in your particular case. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Any questions on that aspect before we get into more of the structure and how this can maybe move more into the chronology side of things?
Yeah, just real quick, is the typical workflow that the user starts with their own list of issues and then starts to build them out and supplement them, or do they start with a blank slate and as they're going through documents and going through whatever else, they start to see the issues and create that list?
Yeah, great question. I think it's all about timing when a case comes into Opus 2. So if it's early case assessment and maybe you're doing all of that work here within our solution, you're using the tools that we have, you may start with that kind of blank slate kind of canvas. But if it is something that maybe you inherited from another firm or it's been going on for quite some time and you've spent years and you know the issues inside and out, that's why I like to show the two different ways of the contrast of the different options of how you can build this and then also continue to build this if it is one of those cases that kind of goes on for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm. As cases do.
They do, yeah. And then all of this, I would say, I think we talked about it before, is it means a lot when it's tied to the overall story of your case. So ultimately, all of these issues, you want an easy way to visualize this information. And since Opus 2 has all of this content in a single location, I can easily navigate to my chronology to get a better picture of this. So let's have a look at that. So I'm here over on my issues worksheet, but maybe I want to go and see how certain issues or how certain fact issues relate to the overall story here. Now, this is every single fact, everything in my case. I can go in, I can scroll, I may be able to find or use the filter capabilities, but I've gone ahead and taken some liberties where if I were still on the paralegal side of things, I would probably do something like this for my associates or partners where I've gone ahead and I want to find every chronology event that references an issue that is related to the breach of contract. So now I'm here, I have my overall story, and if I go in, if I'm that partner persona, I get that full picture. I'm able to see people, I'm able to see companies, issues, highlighted notes, and then with their knowledge, if they want to add anything, let's say they know that there is a particular company that they want to add. They want to add the Universal Widgets company because that was mentioned and they know that fact. All of that can be connected on the fly, and it really just echoes how everybody can collaborate on the effort here when it comes to the overall story of the case. Now, I always try to encourage teams to do as much work as they can within our solution. But at the end of the day, there normally needs to be some sort of deliverable sent to some audience or some stakeholder. So we do have the ability to get this out really however you like. If it's a spreadsheet, does this need to return to what it used to be in a Word document, in a table, or does it have to be a custom PDF that you can fully curate what information is housed in what location on the document? By having the issues, having that tied to the chronology table, all of that can now be visualized within the solution. And if you want more of a traditional timeline view or different breakdown, all of that exists within our solution as well. And you have the flexibility to change what is presented on these cards before maybe you go more into a demonstrative deliverable on the PowerPoint side of things, which we allow you to do as well. But hopefully that is a good illustration of how the issues can work well with the chronology. Before we get into our last topic, which I know is around just overall tracking and maybe the gaps that you need to close when it comes to our issue management.
Chris, you and I have ESP, I think, because I was literally about to ask you about the visualization options here for these chronologies, because I like a sort of a visualization tool or looking at a chronology, and I find it really helpful like that. So glad to see you have that. So
there will be one more visualization I will show you. I will hold it to the next one so you guys can have a close look. And I think it's a good segue into just overall tracking. I think we may have touched on it briefly in the previous episode, but these legal issue tables, they can vary from client to client, firm to firm. They might do things slightly different. And I think one of the main benefits and values around Opus 2 is to track this information in a variety of different ways, and also the flexibility and the configuration that Opus 2 allows for. So you'll see I have some things here: disputed, substantiated, the different statuses. I can look at that in different views. So if I want to see the status of certain events, I can change my view and I can get this nice Kanban card representation of information. I can always default back to the table as my default, and I can build out different filters. I know I talked about the configuration that you're able to do. A little technical, but I know this is more of a deeper dive session, and I always like to show this at least once. Let's say you had different status types that you wanted, or different colors, or something as simple as that. All of this can be made part of your template. So as you do cases over and over again, you don't have to worry about it, but you do have the option to change anything to really mimic what you are probably already doing in a Word table or in Excel. Now, this is the tracking that I would expect your everyday paralegals, associates, they need to be in here. They may use that card view, but going back once again to the different personas that Opus 2 can cater to, that high-level overview is really where the dashboard comes into play. So when you think about what do I care about if I'm a partner or I'm a senior associate when I come in, I don't necessarily need to have the granularity of every single issue and event. I probably already know them front to back, but maybe I want to know which ones have been substantiated, which ones haven't. What does that look like? And I'm able to quickly navigate to them if I need to from this dashboard's representation. We know visualizations go a long way. With the higher up you go in a law firm. So just one of the things that I want to be able to showcase today and kind of drive home here with the time that we have with you today. So hopefully that makes sense, Bob. And if you have any other questions, happy to answer them as well.
So if you want granularity, you've got granularity. If you want the high-level view, you've got the high-level view. It's all there.
Yeah. And another thing, you mentioned this before, it's all kind of role-based too. So if you want to see certain things, you don't want to see certain things, that's where we get into a paralegal is going to use this tool completely differently than how the partner would come in and take advantage of the visualizations and the high level that they have here.
All right. So that's the issues component in Opus 2. Thanks for showing us that today, Chris.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate everybody's time. Just to wrap up what we've done, the issues capability is we took a workflow that was typically siloed outside of our solution and then organically brought it into Opus 2, which really allows case teams to use the information that they already have, the documents, the transcripts, etc., and just easily manage and track everything. And hopefully I did a good job of showing you that here today.
You did a very good job. Thanks a lot. All right, that's it for this episode of How It Works Deep Dive. You can find the full series on YouTube. Just search for How It Works there. We're also on the LawNext Legal Tech directory at directory.lawnext.com. This is Bob Ambrogi. Thanks for joining us today.